Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminithi Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so possibly the last chapter in this discussion, Kapiladev, entanglement in fruitive activities, chapter 32. Kapiluvacha, ato yagrahmedhiyan dharmanevavasangrihe kamam artham cha dharman swan dogdhi bhuya pipartitan. President God, it said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again, he acts the same way. So, this is dharma, religious rituals, dharma, economic development, artha, and then sense gratification, kama. Dharma, artha, kama. Who does this? Grahamedhi. There are two kinds of householders. One is called the Grahamedhi and the other is called the Grihastha. The objective of the Grahamedhi is sense gratification. Objective. Objective of the Grahamedhi is sense gratification, which is what most of the married people do. And the objective of Grihastha is self-realization, which is what we are supposed to do. Here the Lord is speaking about the Grahamedhi, or the person who wants to remain in this material world. So actually, this question needs to be answered by all of us. How many of us want to remain in the material world? If the answer is yes, then we can remain doing whatever sense gratification plus self-realization combo. We can do this because that also will make us remain in the material world. But just that it's called mixed devotion, and that by doing that we can go to Swarga. But no getting out of the material world. Mixed devotion will keep us in the material world. So let's understand this. So complete sense gratification, material world, maybe lower species, etc. If done in dharmic way, then human life, and also possibility of going to heaven. Okay, that is this sense gratification. Now, who self-realization, we understand they'll get out of this material world. But those who do both also remain in the material world. But they don't go down, they'll only go up. They will go to Swarga, right? So we have to decide saying that whether we want to remain in this material world or not. There's only one path to get out of this material world, which is to live as a grihastha, as a devotee, basically. There's no other way. If a mixed devotee also will remain in this material world, only a pure devotee will go to the spiritual world, right? Um, so this we need to be clear what our intent is, because we see that we might be telling, I mean, we're hearing so many things about all these things, but the drive to actually go in a particular direction has to come from an individual, and that individual needs to decide what his or her direction in life is. Yeah, so mixed, this one I wanted to just clarify, saying mixed devotion, meaning sense gratification plus bhakti, will also keep us in the material world. Only pure devotion, meaning no tint of material sense gratification, only that person can go out of the material world. So now there discussion about Grahamedi. His activity is to enjoy material benefits by performing religious rituals for economic development, not modern type of economic development. See, traditionally in Vedic culture, somebody wanted artha used to do dharma through dharmic process. Now it is all vikarma. In Kali Yuga, it's all everything is topsy-turvy. We are actually 99% of grahasthas are not doing their prescribed duties. We don't even know our varna. So it's like completely messed up. So in Kali Yuga, mostly economic development is by vikarma, right? Which means you're not following any religious processes. But previously it used to be dharma to attain kama, artha and then kama, and thereby ultimately satisfy the senses. He does not want anything more. So we can understand how precarious situation of people in Kali Yuga is because there mm, there is no dharma at all and it's only artha and kama. Uh, so which is animalistic life, right? Animalistic life is they don't even need artha, they only kama. But yeah, this is a little bit pseudo animalistic life. That's all. And people who are grey maris, they don't want anything else. It's just this. Such a person works very hard throughout his life to become very rich and eat very nicely and drink. By giving some charity for pious activity, he can go to a higher planetary atmosphere in the heavenly planets in his next life. But it does not want to stop the repetition of birth and death and finish the concomitant miserable factors of material existence. Such a person is called a Grihmedi. Grihastha is a person who lives with family, wife, children, relatives, but has no attachment for them. Very, very strong statement. Uh, I don't know where all of us will fit. Just by this definition, we will disqualify for Grihastha. He prefers to live in family life rather than as a mendicant or sannyasi, but his chief aim is to achieve self-realization or to come to the standard of Krishna consciousness. Here, however, Lord Kapildev is speaking about the Grihmedis who made their aim the materialistically prosperous life, which they achieve by sacrificial performances, by charities, and by good work, not by vikarma again, by good work, by dharma. They are posted in good positions, meaning swarga. And since they know that they're using up their assets of pious activities, they again and again perform activities of sense gratification. They said by Prahlad Maharaj, Punapunascharvita Charvananam. They prefer to chew the already chewed. Again and again, they experience the material pangs, even if they're rich and prosperous, but they do not want to give up this kind of life. It's unimaginable craziness, right? Just because, actually, see, the issue is that those who have done good work in their past life, they have, dharma, aishwarya, sutashri, Janma, Aishwarya, Sutashri. So four things are a result of a lot of punya. Janma, good birth; Aishwarya, a lot of money; Suta, beauty, education; and Shri, beauty. So now I know of many relatives of mine who are super rich and prosperous. And literally, they don't have any suffering in their life. Literally, as in, you can say 5% suffering, right here and there. Um, so they have absolute. I mean, what is there? If you ask them saying that what material is, they good. What is the problem? I eat what I want. I go where I want. I dress what I do whatever I want, and I'm happy. Whatever that happiness is. Happiness basically for them is lack of distress, serious distress. Some here and there distress is there, but not major. So because that kind of punya they have earned in their past life, and when they come to Kali Yuga, right, and especially in this age, when you have everything going your way, why dharma? Why come to God? So very, very few actually Bhagavatam also says those who have money but still are not attached to it and want to serve Krishna are really fortunate. They're really fortunate. Because they've done two things. They've done normal material punya and they've also accumulated what is called as sukruti, which is bhakti unmukhi sukruti. Some sukruti, some pieties, because we can call it spiritual piety for simpler understanding. One is material piety and the other is spiritual piety. If you done material piety, you can be very happy, very prosperous, rich, beautiful, educated, etc. in this material world. But you may not just come. You'll do that person can also do charity. He'll also do charity, but charity to anything and everything, nothing specific. But if a person has not accumulated spiritual piety, he will not come to bhakti. Right? So, which is why how much ever we tell the materially prosperous people, very difficult. Like I said, unless they have the spiritual piety. And so, what do devotees do? Try hard to reach out to everybody. Today, I was just reading Prabhupada's quote. Mm. Our only aim is how to preach Krishna consciousness. The Vaishnava's business is para dukkha dukhi, irrespective whether it's grasta or brahmachari or sannyasi. Para means others and dukkha means unhappy. So Vaishnava personally has no unhappiness because Vaishnava is under the protection of Krishna. So there's no question of unhappiness for a Vaishnava. But Vaishnava is unhappy by seeing others suffering. And other suffering means what? Not just forgetfulness of Krishna is our suffering. Hmm. See, lokasya janatha, they do not know what is the aim of life. Uh, So Bhakti Vinod Thakur sings, Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. So we have to awaken them. They're sleeping under the spell of Maya and forgotten their real identity. So we have to do this. We have to wake them up. Otherwise, there's no chance. They have no hope because they can't build up spiritual piety. We help them build spiritual piety. See, this is another very deep topic actually. If devotees don't go out, there is very less chance of actually people building up spiritual piety because this Bhakti Unmukhi Sukruti, just for understanding, is somebody has propensity to do good things, but if they do it in connection with devotees or the Supreme Lord, then it becomes Bhakti Unmukhi Sukruti. So somebody wants to give charity, we somehow have to take that charity as devotees, not for ourselves, for Krishna service. So if we become instrument to make a person donate for Krishna, we are building that person's spiritual piety. Actually, it's a big thing. Initially when I came to Krishna consciousness, I was thinking, why are these people going and taking donations from people outside, etc. Now I'm realizing, saying it's such a selfless, social welfare work to take to let people part their money for Krishna. It builds their spiritual piety, right? If they can take a book, builds their spiritual piety. If they can take prasadam once, build their spiritual piety because they're not devotees. But they are just good people. They have some some piety, material piety. Material piety can also bring one in touch with spiritual piety. But material piety is not the direct reason for bhakti. uh. So some people who are like, who when in distress go to a temple, they have material piety. So we should we should go, get in touch with those people, give them spiritual piety. Mm. So if devotees don't go out, then there's no hope. If devotees are sitting at home, satisfied with their own, because Krishna takes care of a devotee's life. If you're just satisfied sitting at home, then whole world will suffer, continue to suffer. And it's not an easy job to do on preaching. I mean, I'm just seeing directly like 2, 3 programs that I'm part of. It's a pretty much of a challenge because even devotees who are serving are not completely dedicated. They don't understand the importance of what they're doing. So somehow they have their own agenda. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to convince. It's very difficult to make people understand because many times devotees are always misunderstanding. They don't want to understand clearly what the message is. We should be selfless. That is the message. Why are we doing things for our own? I mean, we think that by doing things for our own benefit, Krishna will be pleased. Absolutely, he will not be pleased. So we have to be selfless and we have to just serve for others' benefit. Then we'll get 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x, 100x benefit spiritually. We don't have to do any other activity. We just have to serve the people through Krishna consciousness. That's all. It's very, very important. Somehow, this message, it's not not something that everybody understands. Everybody is in their own world in some sense. I'll do bhakti, I will, nice life. I want to just live a nice life. They can't actually go back to God because this is mixed devotion and that will keep them in the material world. So they can't understand that also. Actually, the path of bhakti that they've chosen will not even get them out of the material world. Forget about going to Krishna. Sachapi bhagavad dharmat kamamudha paranmukha yajate kratuvirdevan pitrimscha shraddhayanvitaha. Such persons are ever bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification. And therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they're not interested in Krishna consciousness. Of course, I mean, this itself is unseen today. They don't do any kind of sacrifices, they don't do any great vows, nothing they do. They just engage in sense gratification, most of the people. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that persons who worship demigods have lost their intelligence. Kama istaiste hritaknana prapadyante anya devata. They are much attracted to sense gratification. Therefore, they worship the demigods. They're attracted to people who are engaged in demigod worship. They're attracted to sense gratification because demigods' work is to give. Hmm. It is, of course, recommended in the Vedic scriptures that if one wants money, health, or education, then he should worship the various demigods. A materialistic person has manifold demands, and thus there are manifold demigods to satisfy his senses. The Grimadis who want to continue a prosperous materialistic way of life generally worship the demigods or forefathers by offering pinda or respectful oblations. Such persons are bereft of Krishna consciousness, are not interested in devotional service to the Lord. This kind of so-called pious and religious man is the result of impersonalism. The impersonalists maintain that the supreme absolute truth has no form and that one can imagine any form he likes for his benefit and worship in that way. So Prabhupada is saying because people think like this, so they're worshipping demigods, thinking they'll get what they want. So most of South India is in this boat, going to demigods, thinking that they are some imaginary form of Supreme Lord. Therefore, the Gramadis or materialistic men say that they can worship any form of a demigod as worship of the Supreme Lord. Especially amongst the Hindus, those who are meat eaters prefer to worship the goddess Kali because it is prescribed that one can sacrifice a goat before that goddess. They maintain that whether one worships the goddess Kali or the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu or any demigod, the destination is the same. This is first class rascaldom, Prabhupada's typical Prabhupada, first class rascaldom. And such people are misled. But they prefer this philosophy. Bhagavad Gita does not accept such rascaldom, and it is clearly stated that such methods are meant for persons who have lost their intelligence. The same judgment is confirmed here, and the word kama mudha, meaning one who has lost his sense or is infatuated by the lust of attraction for sense gratification, is used. Hmm. Lost his sense or is infatuated by lust of attraction for sense gratification. Powerful words. Attraction for sense gratification itself is so strong. Lust of attraction is like kama moodas are bereft of Krishna consciousness and devotional service and are infatuated by a strong desire for sense gratification. The worshippers of demigods are condemned both in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. They're condemned, but they're still better than those who don't worship at all. Atheists. So this is still better because at least they will have some sense of somebody superior. Atheists think that they're only superior, nobody else superior to me. Hmm. They don't believe in God, any some higher power, etc. At least demigods will believe. But the problem with demigod worship is they're still stuck because they're doing this for some benefit and they're getting benefit, so they're worried. Oh, if I leave it, what will happen? So it's very, very, very difficult. Yesterday I was talking to a devotee and he's well situated, doing nice sadhana, etc. But he's still saying, I can't just give up. I can't give up and come to Krishna. I can't give up everything. I have enough money, but still I can't just give up my job. So faith in Krishna is something is again something fortunate souls have. Really fortunate. They have faith in Krishna. They're ready to. dedicate their life to serve him. We're fortunate. If we have that faith, we should not feel proud. It's just Krishna's mercy that we are actually going in that direction. Because all this is just Krishna's mercy. We can do our part, but if unless Krishna gives mercy, how can we make progress towards him? So there's no need for being, proud. But it's fortune. It's fortune. It's a very, very important, uh, asset to have. Faith in Krishna. Strong faith in Krishna. Mm. So yeah, mm, materialistic life is definitely not for devotees, right? For Grahamedis. तच्छ्रद्धयाक्रान्तमतिः पितृदेवव्रतपुमान् गत्वा चान्द्रमसं लोकं सोमपा पुनरेष्यति. Such materialistic persons attracted by sense gratification, devoted to forefathers and demigods, can be elevated to the moon where they drink an extract of the Soma plant. They again return to this planet. The moon is considered one of the planets of the heavenly kingdom. One can be promoted to this planet by executing different sacrifices recommended in Vedic literature. The pious activities in worshipping the demigods and forefathers with rigidity and vows. But one cannot remain there for a very long time. Life on the moon is said to last 10,000 years according to the calculation of demigods. The demigod's time is calculated in such a way that one day is equal to 6 months on this planet. And so 10,000 years into 6 months. And 10,000 years into 365 uh, into 6. Into 365 into 24 into 6. So this is the duration. It is not possible to reach the moon by any material vehicle like a Sputnik, but persons who are attracted by material enjoyment can go to the moon by pious activities. Mm. In spite of being promoted to the moon, however, one has to come back to this earth. And again, when the merits of his works in sacrifice are finished. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Tetam Bhuktva Svargalokam Vishalam Chine Punyam Arte Lokam Vishanti. So Prabhupada elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita says it's like a Ferris wheel, like a giant wheel. Sometimes we are up, sometimes we are down. Sometimes we are up, sometimes we are down. Again, same thing. यदा चाहीन्द्रशय्यायां एतेनन्तासनो हरिः तदा लोकालयं यान्ति तयेते गृहमेधिनाम्. All the planets of the materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets such as moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Lord Hari goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Ananta Shesha. This is Pralaya. The materially attached are very eager to promote themselves to the heavenly planets such as the moon. There are many heavenly planets to which they aspire just to achieve more and more material happiness by getting a long duration of life and the paraphernalia for sense enjoyment. But the attached persons do not know that even if one goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, destruction exists there also. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that one can even go to Brahmaloka, but still he will find the pangs of birth, death, disease, and old age. Only by approaching the Lord's abode, the Vaikuntha Loka, does one not take birth again in this material world. The Grahamedis or materialistic persons, however, do not like to use this advantage. This is very important. We should like to use this advantage, not like to use this advantage. They would prefer to transmigrate perpetually from one body to another or from one planet to another. They do not want the eternal blissful life in knowledge in the kingdom of God. Actually, if you ask, in any congregation of devotees, you ask them how many want to come back to this material world, everybody will say we don't want to come back. But unfortunately, they're not aware of the process of actually getting out. So this is a trouble in the society of devotees. Outside people, anyway, they have no idea about all this. So we have to go and tell them. But even in the society of devotees, many devotees are actually not clear what actually they should do to not come back to this material world. What should we do to not come back to this material world? I already told, but I'm just checking. What should we do? Yeah. Sorry?
Pure devotion.
Pure devotion. What does pure devotion mean?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, your statement, get out of the comfort zone.
Get
Push
out of the comfort zone. Okay,
push
thank you.
yourself with in
Yeah.
your devotional service.
Yeah, get out of the comfort zone. Yeah. Yeah, simplistically put, no sense gratification, life of no sense gratification, and only dedicated bhakti to Krishna. That is the only thing which can take us out. Not bhakti. Yes, I'm doing bhakti, but also doing sense gratification. We can't get out. And doing bhakti, yes, of course. I mean, our basic requirements, etc. That Krishna will take care. That we don't even have any worry, or it's not even that we have to come to the street and not go, we have to go without food. No, why? Prabhupada says, I mean, even those ants and elephants, Krishna is supplying food for everybody, right? Won't he supply to somebody who is actually lovingly serving him? Prabhupada asks this question, rhetorical question. Rhetorical, meaning answer is yes, of course he will, right? So just that faith that Krishna will take care. Let me not ask anything from him. Let me not ask anything from him. Okay, I have to work, no problem, I'll work, but I will not ask anything from him. Only thing I'll ask is devotees association and devotional service, and that I'll never forget his lotus feet. That's all. If somebody lives like this, they'll go back to Krishna. We'll anyway go back to Krishna if we don't develop material desires. Actually, this is a deep realization that just came in now after 15 years of devotional service. I just got one realization right now as I was making this statement. What does that mean? What is that realization? Is that Krishna actually says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti. So I've been actually contemplating about this, saying that what does this mean? I mean, everybody, most devotees in ISKCON actually know this, isn't it? Don't we know the divine transcendental nature of Krishna's birth and activities? Anybody here who doesn't think that Krishna's birth, Janma and Karma are transcendental? Anybody here? If you can lift your hand, if you don't believe that Krishna's Janma and activities are purely transcendental and nothing, not it doesn't belong to this material world. So we can't see him with material vision. Anybody here who disagrees with this? Nobody, right? Nobody. Of course, there are subtleties in terms of when we put this philosophy into practice, we might be, tottering here and there, but it's okay. At a high level, we all firmly believe that Krishna's Janma and Karma are transcendental. And Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Punarjanma naiti. Then why are we talking about birth in heavenly planet? Why are we talking about coming back to this material world? What is that is going to prevent us from going out of this material world? Because we know one very strong process we've all fixed up, by hearing from Srila Prabhupada, we know that Krishna, Janma and Karma are transcendental. Now, what can prevent us? What can prevent us? I just gave the answer. That means I'm not clear in my communication. What can prevent us from going back to Krishna?
We still want to lord over the material nature.
Yeah, sense gratification. Simple. See, we have all the qualifications. Please understand, it's not like we have to make some tremendous progress or, no. All we have to do is even where we stand today, if we die tomorrow or if we die today, if we don't have sense gratification, we'll go back to Krishna. If we don't have desire for sense gratification, we'll go back to Krishna. Today, we might say, no, no, I'm not so very advanced. It doesn't matter. Krishna is saying, all that we have to do is just believe in Krishna's divinity and not desire sense gratification. That's all we need to do. It's a major shortcut, major shortcut. So, I mean, it's unbelievable fortune that we all have, right? So all we have to do is just keep away from sense gratification or desire for sense gratification. That's all we need to do. There's nothing else we need to do. Because automatically then our heart will get purified. We're chanting Hare Krishna, we'll engage in more service. We'll obviously develop love for Krishna. There's no doubt. All we have to do is just keep away sense gratification, keep away weeds. La Puja Pratishta. If you can keep away these, how? Simply by being in the association of strong-minded devotees who want to achieve perfection, we can achieve. And who is that devotee who is the most strong-minded amongst everybody in ISKCON? Is Srila Prabhupada. Just take association of Srila Prabhupada's books. There's no way we can go here and there. Hmm. Srila Prabhupada's words, sentences will prick our consciousness. It will wake us up even if you're doing something wrong. But that will not happen for people who have not read Prabhupada's books, especially Prabhupada's English books, unfortunately. I don't know about Hindi and other languages. Kannada, though, far, far from Prabhupada's mood. There are two kinds of dissolutions. One dissolution takes place at the end of the life of Brahma, at the time all the planetary systems, including the heavenly planets, are dissolved in water and enter into the body of Garbhodaka Shayi Vishnu, who lies on the Garbhodaka ocean. This is the partial this one. One is full dissolution, the other is partial dissolution. In another dissolution, which occurs at the end of Brahma's day, all the lower planetary systems are destroyed. When Lord Brahma rises after his night, these lower planetary systems are again created. The statement in Bhagavad Gita that persons who worship the demigods have lost their intelligence is confirmed in this verse. These less intelligent persons do not know that even if they are promoted to the heavenly planets at the time of dissolution, they themselves, the demigods, all their planets will be annihilated. They have no information that eternal blissful life can be attained. So we have to just remember today's summary of today's discussion is bhakti life minus sense gratification equals Goloka. Bhakti life minus sense gratification equals Goloka. Meaning, if you live life of bhakti, doing bhakti activities minus sense gratification, without sense gratification, we'll go back to Goloka. Why? Because even if we don't theoretically make tremendous progress, just because we know transcendental nature of Krishna's Janma and Karma, we will go back. So all we have to do is just protect ourselves from sense gratification. That's all we need to do. And to protect ourselves from sense gratification is a big task. Well, it might sound very easy. That big task is made easy when we hold on to the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, easy thing becomes difficult and a difficult thing becomes easy. Easy thing becomes difficult when we don't hold on to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. And the most difficult thing becomes easy when we hold on to that lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Which means preaching, which means giving this mercy to others. Okay, so simple. Every day my focus is to just, simplify the whole essence of Krishna conscious life. It's very easy to tell practicing devotees. It's very, very easy. Like I said, it's like one-liner. We don't have to get confused, get lost anywhere, nothing. So many stories, this philosophy, that philosophy. Everything finally is just coming down to this one line. Pure devotion. That's all. So devotional life minus sense gratification equals Goloka. Okay, so I'll stop here. Anything anybody wants to say? I believe today is a holiday, I realize. So many people will be happy. I have no sense of what holiday means. I have holiday every day. Yeah, any thoughts, questions, comments?
But 3rd holiday, Prabhu, that's why I could able to join the class.
Yeah, Lalita Mataji. Yeah, thank you. Holiday.
So in Goloka, every day is like a holiday, Prabhu.
Every day is a party. Holiday, I don't know what holiday means for each of us. Holiday means relaxation. No, it's a festival. So we know festival means there's so many services and running around here and there trying to make Radha and Krishna meet and then, making sure that so many things, so many beautiful things. Actually, it's just unimaginable. Once we understand what's going on in Goloka, then somehow any other destination becomes pika, right? That's what they say, like pale in front of that. Then we won't aspire. Definitely not this material world. Definitely not this bhumi, this earth. Definitely not Swarga. Not even Vaikunta. The activities in Goloka Vrindavana are just literally unimaginable. It's so beautiful that once we start getting an understanding of that, of course, for us to get there, really we have to purify ourselves. At least we have to purify our intent, not to sense gratify. Then we can hear there is so much of stuff, there is so much of literature available, scriptures. Actually, they give us such a beautiful description of life, with Krishna, that actually once we read that, I say, what nonsense, what am I doing here? Why am I wasting my life? Doing politics, doing bickering, fighting with devotees, this, that, uh, just simply wasting our time here. When real bliss is waiting for us. The bliss is unimaginable. So let me give you a sense of what that means. I mean, to some extent, right? So see, today there are festivals in mm, um, festivals that we are doing in Krishna consciousness, right? Now, um, lot of devotees are very, very busy, running around like every Sunday we have, you know, 3 programs, Saturday, Sunday, and devotees are just running around. Now, when we are actually just so busily running around, sometimes we may or may not directly at that point of time experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness because we are so busy. We are so busy. We can't just we don't have time to sit for a moment. At the end of the day, our body takes over, and then bodily, whatever pains and pleasures of the body takes over, and we actually are not able to experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness. Hmm. But as we progress in years, this is very, very important. As we progress in bhakti, after having run around and in spite of body, whatever, we are ready to go on. Okay, next day, chalo, one more festival, one more festival, right? So, uh, then actually we start experiencing little bliss in Krishna consciousness. Now, that bliss that we experience here, maybe, at the stage we are in, maybe 10,000 lakh times enhanced is the bliss that one enjoys, one experiences in Goloka in the association of Radha and Krishna. Right, so it's unimaginable bliss. You know what time Manjaris get up in Goloka? By the way, who are the Manjaris? Okay, anyway, let me stop the recording. I don't want this discussion to go about Hare Krishna.